जैसे वो दादागिरी दिखाने की कोशिश कर रहा है, उसको काउंटर करना जरूरी है। और इस
why national war happens, right? I mean, why national war take place? What are the factors that are fueling anti-Indian sentiments in our neighboring countries like China, Bangladesh, Pakistan, Nepal? So hello viewers, today I am in conversation with Mr. Sanjeet Sirohi sir. He is a colonel in Indian Army and a national security advisor, SSB expert, and a phenomenal motivational speaker. He has changed thousands of students' life, aspiring leaders' life, and students who are preparing for IS, IAS, IPS, SSB, and all any kind of government examination. That how to crack interviews. So first of all, thank you so much, Sanjeet Sirohi sir, for taking out your precious time to be on the show. And
Thank you.
and viewers, this podcast will be all about that how you guys, if you are preparing for UPSC or any government exam, then what are the factors which you guys as aspirants should keep in your mind to crack interviews, right? Because Sanjeet sir is a national security advisor, so there will be few national related questions as well. I will throw on him and he will answer it, right sir?
Yeah, please go ahead.
So Sanjeet sir, I'd like to know first your journey as a colonel. That I mean, how did you get into this journey, this Indian Army, and then you turned, a national security advisor. So tell me something about it, cause a lot of viewers wants to become like you, right? So it would be wonderful if you could share.
Thank you, Ronak, for giving me this opportunity to be in conversation with you. Now, as far as my journey is concerned, it is journey of anybody, but let me highlight few points about my journey. When I was a small child, I was very, very introvert person. I had very low confidence. Academically, I was not very good. But I had aim of joining the Indian Army and putting on the uniform. That was my start point. And whatever I did after that was in alignment with my goal. So the point which I want to bring out to anybody who's listening to this podcast is that whatever you want to decide to become in life, then you must put in your every effort to make sure that you are moving in the same direction. Most of the students or most of the youth I have seen is that they keep on changing, they become dabblers. Sometimes they decide to do something, other time then somebody else tells them to do this thing. So they don't even decide what they want to become. And let me tell you, when we are about 8 years old, we are very clear what we want to become. If you ask any child, what does he want to become? He will straight away tell you, I'll become a doctor, I'll become an engineer, I'll become sportsman, I will become so and so. But if you ask anybody who's in 18, 19, or 20 years, who is already in a college, and maybe he is doing some professional course also, if you ask him, he still gives you a blank look. So that was not my case. I was very clear from my childhood that I have to join the army. And to make sure that I joined the army, I joined NCC Junior Wing. I was there for 2 years, 3 years. After that, when I went to college and I went to Ramjas College in Delhi University, there also I took NCC as one of my this thing extracurricular activity. And while in NCC also, I was trying to do my best. I took part in two Republic Day parades. That was in 1972 and 1973. And taking part in Republic Day parade, anybody who's been in NCC, it is great achievement because out from all the states, 2, 3 candidates are selected out of all the NCC candidates from that state. So we were two who were selected from Delhi, and I took part in that. Then after that, I joined army. I commanded a tank regiment, and when after I commanded the tank regiment, I was on study leave. Study leave is that the government gives you 2 years of study leave, and in those 2 years you can do whatever you want to do. So I took computer software technology as my subject. And when I and my classmates were very, very young people, college like Ronak, you, they were people like you, young people 20, 23, 24 years old, and I was about 45, 46. when I saw them, when I met with them, when I interacted with them, I realized that there is a yawning gap between what a candidate or what the youth is and what is the requirement of the job. That is the time it was an insight which awoken me, and that was the time I decided that I must do something for the youth. So my journey started in 2009. I left the army in 2009. I still had 4 years of service, but I left the army, and then I took up this purpose of my life was to make sure that the youth they get their dream job, and I must guide them to get their dream job. So that is how my journey. First inning was in the army. I was there for 35 years, commanded a tank regiment, and from 2009 to 2024, that is 15 years, I have been helping the students to carve out their destiny and to help them to get their dream job. Ronak.
That is an incredible journey, sir, because you have experienced a lot of things while being in that journey, and you served Indian Army for 30 years, or I guess over 30 years, right?
35 years.
35 5 years actually. And then after you delved into public speaking, and then you helped, and then you work as a mentor in many education firms, right, like SSC, ATA, defense, and all. So, Surojit sir, I would like to ask a question that how a candidate can stand out in a highly, problematic situation, like if somebody, there are a lot of competition, right, in UPSC every year. Over 10 lakh aspirants fill the form of UPSC, right? Over 10 lakh, and very few of them could actually for could qualify that exam. So what are your advices and insights you'd like to share to those UPSC aspirant that they should keep in their mind while preparing for UPSC, and what are the areas which upon they should work, right?
Right, Ronak, as far as the UPSC is concerned, it is, I agree with you that there are large number of candidates who appear for the exam. And there are three stages of the exam. The first is the preliminary.
Preliminary,
Then
means
anybody who clears the preliminary, then he goes for the main. And anybody who clears the main, then he goes for the interview.
interview.
Now, as far as the written work is concerned, I am no authority on that because there are a lot of institutes and there are a lot of people who can guide them for preliminary and main. But what my focus is and what my main area of concern is about the interview. Now, the point which I want to bring out through your channel and through your podcast, I want to tell anybody and everybody who is competing for any civil services exam or any exam for that matter, or for any job for that matter.
Mm.
The day you decide that you want to join civil services, you want to join corporate, want to join central distinct forces,
Right.
police forces, you want to join army, you must not prepare gradually. That means you should not say, okay, now I will prepare for preliminary, then I will prepare for main, and once I clear main, then only I prepare for interview. That is the biggest problem which I had seen amongst the candidates. They prepare so hard for their preliminary, they prepare so hard for their mains. When it comes to interview, because the gap between the announcement of result of main
Right.
and the interview dates is very, very less. And that time is not enough for a person to prepare for interview, because in interview, most of the questions which are asked are on your personality. They are not asked on your subject knowledge. They are not asked your on domain. They are basically asked on your personality. So until unless you are very, very clear about your personality, unless you have got enough time to develop your personality, because developing a personality, I have seen a lot of institutes, they write that personality development program in 1 month or 2 months. In 1 month or 2 months, you cannot develop a personality. It is not like a first aid. It is not like a microwave option that you put anything for 2 minutes and that thing is ready. No, for personality development, it takes time, and for that you require a correct guidance from a person who is qualified on telling you all those things. So my advice to the candidates who are appearing for any examination is that the day you start preparing for your written exam, the same day you must start preparing for your interview, because interview is very, very important part of any selection process. And it is very disheartening that you spend so much of time in your preliminary preparation, so much time of in your main, and when it comes to interview, you get rejected. So I think it is the worst thing that can happen to anyone who has spent so much of time, so many years, so much money, And finally, when you reach interview, you get rejected. So the point is that you must start preparing for your interview. Now, as regards how do you stand out?
Mm.
Now, point is that every year there are, like I'll tell you, the engineers only, there are lakhs of engineers. I don't know exact number, but they may be
Right.
about 20 lakh or 15, 20 lakhs
Right.
engineers who pass out every day, every year. They do their BTech or BE or whatever it is. Now, if 20 lakh engineers are doing that, and there are limited number of vacancies, whether it is in corporate world, whether it is in public sector undertakings, whether in civil services, in armed forces, so seats are limited, but number of candidates are unlimited. Now, how do you stand out? There are 4 or 5 things which I want to advise people is first is the communication skills. Very, very important because the quality of your life will depend on your quality of your communications. If you can communicate well, knowledge you have studied for so long, but until unless you cannot communicate what you know, how does the other person know how what you know? So your communication skills is number one. Number two, that includes your speaking skill, that includes your body language, that includes both vocal, verbal, non-verbal communications.
Right.
Number two is general awareness. Most of the youth nowadays, they have stopped reading newspaper, they have stopped listening to news. As a result of that, when any question is asked about the general awareness or general knowledge of whatever current is happening nationally or internationally, they are not aware of it. So they must pay attention to general awareness. They must keep their eyes and ears open. And this general awareness cannot be improved within 1 week or 10 days. It is a long process
Right.
because for civil services, it is not one line answer which you have to give for the question which have been asked. It is the complete analysis of the problem which you have to do. Third thing is that your domain knowledge, very, very important. You must know what subject have you studied in your college, whether it is in your graduation or post-graduation, optional subjects, compulsory subject, you should have knowledge on that. And last is that when you fill the form, most of the candidates, when they fill the form, they don't even remember what they have written in the form. For example, if there is a column for extracurricular activities, they write whatever comes into their mind.
Mm.
But they realize only this when they go for the interview and the questions are asked on extracurricular activities or their interest or hobbies, then they are totally clean book. So
Right.
these are 4 or 5 things. In addition to that, what I want to bring out is that in my time, or maybe before my time,
Mm.
people were told, or the youth were told, okay, you get educated, you get some experience, you will get a good job.
Mm.
Then came my time or later on, they said you get good education, you get good experience, and you develop some skills which will be required for future. So you will get a job. Now that time has gone. Your education, your degrees, your diplomas, your experience, and even your skill set may not be able to give you a job. Now, what is required is the mindset. They want to see what is your mind, and what is mindset is how you see, how you think, and how you believe. And
Right.
that mindset has to be 3G mindset. When I say 3G mindset, that simply means you should be global. That means you must think big. Number two, you should be good. That means you should be a good person, is a good human being. And number three, you should have grit. Grit means you should have resilience, you should have perseverance, you
Right.
should have determination, you should have tenacity. All these things, you should have intensity. All these things should be there. So now it is not the education, not experience, not skill set, it is the mindset. And if you have the right mindset, then you will stand out from, I will not say 100, from thousands of candidates, you will stand
Right.
out. Wrong.
And that is the only way to stand out from highly competitive interviews which are in these days happening, sir. And sir, you mentioned about in interviews, the major thing, the crucial thing which matters is the student's personality, right? So how do you advise a student to work upon their personality, to work upon their character? Like you have mentioned that good communication skill, poses a massive role to be to have a influential personality, right? So I mean, what are the insights you would like to convey to the audience that these are 4 to 5 things which you need to keep in your mind just in order to, have a wonderful personality, a charismatic personality, right?
Right. Now, Ronak, as far as the personality concerned, when I talk about the personality, it is not your height, weight, chest. I am not talking about that. Okay? Personality means, firstly, you must have a positive attitude. Very, very important. Because nowadays the people, the employers, they are not looking for your skills, they are not looking for your mark sheet, they are not interested in how many marks have you got in your graduation and post graduation. They look at your personality. Personality includes your positive attitude. So positive attitude is one thing which cannot be developed in a day or two. It requires a lot of effort from an individual side to how to make your personality positive. That is number one. Number two, I said good communication skills. Good communication skills does not mean that you should be excellent speaker in English. It is the any language which you like to speak in. But when I say good communication, it is what is communication? Communication is like I am talking to you. Now, when I'm talking to you, I'm passing a message. Can you understand this message?
Right.
If you can understand this message, because it is a two-way traffic.
Right.
I'm telling you something. If you're understanding, then communication is correct.
Right.
But whatever, if I'm saying anything and you are not understanding, that means that there is no communication between you and me. I may be talking, you may be listening, but if you have not understood, so communication skills includes your verbal communication, that is what you speak. It requires your vocal communication, how you speak. And third is your non-verbal communication, that is your body language. And let me tell you, body language accounts for 55% of your communication.
Right.
I repeat again, 55% of your communication depends on your body language. Now, what is body language? Body language is your facial expression, your eye contact, your cheerful face, your sitting posture, your gesture, your posture, how you walk, how you talk. So this all these things are accounted for. I have seen many candidates when they get rejected in the interview, they say I answered all the questions, but I don't know how I got rejected. How they got rejected was because they were saying something, but their body was communicating something else. So, and 38% is a vocal communication. I go to colleges, I train those students for their placement. I have seen that most of the students, even boys, they speak very low in very low volume. That shows that you don't have confidence. So this is second is the first. So first was positive personality. Second was communication. Third is your confidence. Your confidence. If you are confident, you will be successful in life.
Right.
So you must cultivate your confidence. Confidence is not something which you are born with. When I was a small child, even when I became adult and when I was in college, my confidence level was low. And I never asked any question in class, even if I didn't understood the content of the class. I never answered any question, even when I knew the answer, because I was not very confident. And the only way to build confidence is to speak with people, speak in front of strangers. You will be able to speak with any one of your friends. But when you are addressing or when you are speaking to 5, 6, 10 people, that is how you build up your confidence. So third is the confidence. Fourth is that you must not hesitate. I have seen lot of people, lot of candidates with good knowledge, good ethics, but they are very, very fearful. They are very, very hesitant. They don't speak much. You must speak. And besides that, your mannerism, your etiquettes, all those things, they form part of personality. So you must start working on those. And it takes quite some time for you to improve your personality.
Right.
And before you do that, there is another thing which is very, very important, that is known as personality mapping. Now, what is personality mapping is that you find out yourself, what are your strengths, what are your weaknesses, so that you can take advantage of the opportunities which come in your way. And you should be able to overcome all the threat, all the challenges which you face in life. So do the personality mapping. So if you do these 5, 6 things, and besides that, in personality includes your clothing, what clothes do you wear, your grooming, what is your haircut, how is your this thing expression, how do you sit, all those things form part of your personality. Ronak.
These are very practical things you have mentioned, sir, that gesture, body language, tonality, communication, that actually plays a 90% role to crack any interview, and 7% words, right? So,
Yeah.
sir, wonderful practical things you have shared, which actually plays a huge role if somebody wants to work, work upon their personality, to enhance their vocal thing, to enhance their descriptive and all. So, sir, uh, moving forward to our next question, that actually a lot of aspirant get stuck on this, that why national war happens, right? I mean, why national war take place in between countries to country, right? And what are the factors that are fueling anti-Indian sentiments in our neighboring countries like China, Bangladesh, Pakistan, Nepal? So I mean, what are your insights? So first, explain in layman language that why national war happens, and second, that anti sentiments to our neighboring countries, right?
Okay, firstly, the general question is that why war take place? Now,
Mm,
war take place when there is conflict of interest between two nations. You take any country, whenever there is ideology differences, there are border disputes,
mm,
there are political differences,
mm,
there any differences between two nations creates a condition where either both of them or one of them attacks the other country. You take Israel-Hamas war, which is going on. It was the Hamas who started this war. Why they started, on whose instruction they started, it is a long thing to discuss. I am
mm,
not going to get involved in that. If
right.
you take Ukraine-Russia war, there are number of causes why this Ukraine-Russia war took place. So the point is, general point is that whenever there is a conflict of interest between the two nations, there is always a war. Or if they sit together and they try to reduce their differences, they try to remove their differences, then I think the war will not take place. Now, the second question which you have is that why there is anti-India sentiments all around our neighboring countries.
Right.
Now, this we have to understand. It is a very, very geopolitical, and a lot of things are taking place, and they are moving at very fast speed. The first is, if you see, few years back, India was underdeveloped country, so was China.
Mm,
So were all the countries in South Asia, which
right.
include your starting from Afghanistan, Pakistan, India, then Nepal, Bhutan, Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, Myanmar, China. They were all underdeveloped countries. And India played a very important role because we have got cultural, historical, political ties with all these countries. Till 80s, we had a very good relation with Afghanistan, but with Pakistan and China, we never had any good relations. Now, what has happened in last few years? There has been anti-India sentiments because of the rise of China as a superpower. Economically, politically, militarily, China has become a great power. China has started exercising its influence in our neighborhood. Now, as a result of that, all these countries which thought that we were big brother, they have started now going towards China. You say, take case of Maldives. President, present president,
Mm,
he came to power because of anti-India sentiments. India out was the slogan which he raised, and people voted him. So Maldives has gone towards China. But now, with problems coming into Maldives, they have realized that it is not China who's going to solve their problem, it is India
right.
who's going to solve. Then came Bangladesh.
Mm,
Bangladesh is ideological differences because as long as Sheikh Hasina Begum was the prime minister of Bangladesh for 15 years, we had very good relation with this thing.
right.
Jamaica, which was anti-India and which was pro-Pakistan, they were thrown into jails and they were not allowed to do anything. But now, because of the crisis in Bangladesh and because the present interim government which has come, the Jamaati Islami has infiltrated into the government and lot of anti-India sentiments have been raised. And now, not only that, they are getting closer to Pakistan. They want to remove all their differences with Pakistan. They want to have nuclear deal with Pakistan. So that is one angle. The other thing is that because China has got lot of money and with their Belt and Road Initiative, where they are spending so much of money on this thing, infrastructure in other countries, and since all these countries are poor countries, they are going toward China, and China is able to influence them. Connectivity problem.
Right.
Now, all those countries, because we were all underdeveloped countries, we had a problem of connectivity. China is pumping a lot of money, like in CPEC in Pakistan,
Mm,
China-Pakistan economic corridor. Then there is a Maldives, this thing, friendship bridge, which is being talked about. Then Bangladesh also, lot of money has been pumped in. So China, because China has a lot of money and they go deeper pockets than us, so they are able to influence these countries. They
mm,
are doing that. Other thing which has happened is that after the Americans have left their interest in Pakistan as well as Afghanistan, and now USA is concentrating on South China Sea or Indo-Pacific area.
right.
So there has been vacuum which has been created. and that vacuum is now being filled by the China's influence. Other thing about China, good thing about China is China doesn't worry that what sanctions have been imposed on these countries. China has got very good relation with Afghanistan
Right.
because they have recognized their government. We have not recognized it because we go as per the norms. We have our own values, ethics. So they have got good this thing. Pakistan was as it is with in China back. Nepal, there is always a problem. One government comes that is pro-India, then another government comes that is pro-China. Bhutan is the only country, our neighbor, which has been always stable and has always had a good relation with India. Then come Bangladesh, there is a problem. Now, because of Jamaati coming there and who are pro-Pakistani, so obviously they will be closer to China. So that it will come under China's influence. Myanmar, because of the military rule, there have been a lot of sanctions from Western countries. We also don't have very good relation. China has got a lot of influence there. You go down south below Sri Lanka. Sri Lanka has taken a lot of money from China. As a result of that, they have given their Hambantota port to China for 99 years. That is a great threat to India because it is monitoring everything, whatever is in India. Maldives, I have already talked about. So all these countries, because of the China's influence and because of China's money power, economic power, China is giving them money and that's why they are getting closer to China. Although we are also trying to give that money, but our pocket is not that deep where we can give so much of money. That is the main cause of this thing, whatever is happening. Laura.
You have shared and you have explained in very layman language that how anti-India sentiments actually originates in our neighboring relations, like in our neighboring nations. So, sir, the thing which strikes in my mind is then what challenges does India face due to, I mean, Chinese neighborhood influence, right? I mean, what are the challenges does India face due to the Bangladesh, the Chinese neighborhood influence, right?
I told you that challenges are basically three.
Hmm.
First are the political challenges, which I talked about anti-India sentiments in, say, Maldives, and now the ideological changes in Bangladesh. That is a political dilemma we have, challenges we have. Then we have structural dilemma. That is because of China's influence. It attracts nations who are seeking material benefits from China. And then is the normative challenge. Normative challenge is that the dynamics of the region is changing. And now what is normative is that we as a country, we follow certain norms. हमको अच्छे बुरे का पता है तो हम उन्हीं कंट्रीज को सपोर्ट करते हैं, उन्हीं गवर्नमेंट को सपोर्ट करते हैं जिनकी हमारी और उनकी वैल्यूज और एथिक्स और कल्चर वगैरह मिलती है. तो उसकी वजह से वी फॉर नॉर्मेटिव. एज फार एज चाइना इज कंसर्न उनके कोई नॉर्म्स नहीं है. चाहे वो तालिबान है अफगानिस्तान में, वो उनको भी सपोर्ट करेंगे, हम नहीं करेंगे क्योंकि हम सोचते हैं कि तालिबान जो है इट इज नॉट ए लेजिटिमेट गवर्नमेंट. बिकॉज वाई? बिकॉज ऑफ देयर फ्यू रूल्स वेयर दे डोंट अलाउ women, they don't allow girls to go to college, तो we don't support them. चाइना के साथ ऐसी कोई प्रॉब्लम नहीं. चाइना के साथ आप जो मर्जी करो, हमसे पैसे लो और हमारी सपोर्ट करो.
Right.
एज रिगार्ड सेम इज केस विद म्यांमार. म्यांमार में मिलिट्री रूल है. लॉट ऑफ कंट्रीज आर नॉट रिकॉग्नाइजिंग दैट. वी हैव नॉट रिकॉग्नाइज बट चाइना हैज रिकॉग्नाइज. तो चाइना उनकी मदद कर रहा है. बांग्लादेश में हिंदूज के ऊपर अटैक हो रहा है, चाइना को कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ता, उनको वो करेंगे. तो प्रॉब्लम ये तीन तरह के डिलेमा है, पॉलिटिकल, स्ट्रक्चर और नॉर्मेटिव. चाइना के साथ ऐसी कोई प्रॉब्लम नहीं है, इसलिए चाइना के साथ डील करने में किसी को कोई होती नहीं. हमारे को डील करने में प्रॉब्लम होती है क्योंकि हम जो उनके जैसे बांग्लादेश में हो रहा है, अगर और कोई चाइना के लिए कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ता.
Right.
वहां पे हिंदूज के ऊपर अटैक हो, माइनॉरिटीज के ऊपर अटैक हो, चाइना डजंट गिव एनी स्टेटमेंट, कुछ नहीं बोलती है चाइना. लेकिन हमारे यहाँ हम जो है उसके बारे में बोलते हैं. ये नहीं कि हिंदू किसी भी कंट्री में अगर माइनॉरिटीज के ऊपर इफ देयर इज एट्रोसिटीज ऑन द माइनॉरिटीज देन वी आर द पीपल हु स्पीक. अगर गाजा, इफ Hamas attack Gaza, so we condemned Hamas. If Israelis are now attacking Hamas, we are condemning Israel. ये चीजें जो हमारी है मेन प्रॉब्लम है. उसके बाद जो आपने बोला है कि हमारे और क्या चैलेंजेस हैं, उन चैलेंजेस को कैसे करना है. पहली चीज तो हमारी प्रॉब्लम वन वे ट्रैक पॉलिसी है. व्हाट इज वन वे ट्रैक पॉलिसी? इज दैट वी आर ऑलवेज क्लोजर टू द पार्टी विच इज इन द गवर्नमेंट. हम उस पार्टी से डील करते हैं, हम उनसे ऑपोजिशन से डील नहीं करते. एंड दैट इज द रीजन जब ऑपोजिशन वाले आ जाते हैं पावर में तो उनके साथ हमारे रिलेशनशिप आर नॉट गुड. सेम थिंग हैपेंड इन बांग्लादेश. वी हैड वेरी गुड रिलेशन विद Hasina Begum, but we had very bad relation with Khalida Zia.
Hmm.
So now Khalida Zia has become important. Obviously, she will go against India. So that is one policy which India has to now change. We have to be more flexible. We have to get engaged with all the external factors in that country, not only on one party. That is number one. Number two, we have to increase the number of diplomats. Now we are the country of 140 crore people,
Right.
and we want to represent, or we want to lead the global south. For that, we require more number of diplomats who can take care of our foreign policy, not only in our neighboring countries, but all over the world. So वो हमको we must do that. Thirdly, जैसे चाइना ने they have sorted out their territory disputes with every country including Bhutan. We should also try to sort out our any problem with any neighboring countries, and we have to first, जैसे जब मोदी जी की गवर्नमेंट आई थी, his policy was neighbor first. We must try to do that only.
Right.
और हमें हमेशा उनके साथ एंगेज रहना चाहिए. ये नहीं है कि अगर बांग्लादेश में देर आर anti-India sentiments, so we should not speak to them. We should engage with that government, and we should try to resolve the issues instead of speaking against that regime or any other party.
Right.
Ronak.
वंडरफुल वंडरफुली आपने सारी चीजें हम लोगों के साथ शेयर की, दैट कौन से चैलेंजेस इंडिया फेस करती है, एंटी इंडियन सेंटिमेंट्स क्यों ओरिजिनेट होती है. सो एज अ नेशनल सिक्योरिटी एडवाइजर यू हैव डन योर बेस्ट, एंड बहुत अच्छा लगा सर आपसे बात करके, संजीत सिरोही सर, और आई एम वेरी ग्रेटफुल टू होस्ट यू ऑन द शो.
एक चीज मैं आपको, आप करेक्ट करो अपने आप को. आई एम नॉट नेशनल सिक्योरिटी एडवाइजर, आई एम ए सिक्योरिटी एक्सपर्ट. नेशनल सिक्योरिटी एडवाइजर तो अजीत डोभाल साहब है, ठीक है. So I am security expert, international relation expert, and defense expert. Yeah.
You are a national security expert, right? So
Yeah.
और you deserve to be expert, sir, because आपने बहुत layman language में बहुत सारी चीजें हम लोगों के साथ आज आपने शेयर की. So thank you so much for being on the show, sir, and thank you. Be happy.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Okay. Bye.